And
okay. Thank you. All right, well, welcome everyone. Happy New Year. Welcome back to 1 Million Cups. We're excited you're joining us. We've got some guests today. So what we'll do to kick things off is some introductions. So for those of you who haven't been here before, if you'll introduce yourselves, we'll go around in the room here first for first timers and then online. And then if anyone who is not a first timer, but still wants to introduce themselves, that question of, so what do you do? Can always use a little bit of practice. So feel free to use this time as a chance to practice that question. So what do you do? Introduce yourself in 20 seconds. We'll start in the back.
James Keppel, founder of Energetics Health. We're a recently minted Founder Institute graduates, and we are a company that provides a health and wellness program based on your physiology. So it's more science than it is medicine, I guess is the way to put it. And we're focused on preventative care over treating people when they're sick.
Cool. Glad you're here.
What he said. And my name is Heidi Shemp. I'm Director of Operations at
Heidi and
Energetics
James,
Health.
good to have
Nice
you.
to meet everybody. Happy New Year.
All right, anyone online like to introduce themselves? Any first timers? Eric, I don't know if I've ever met you before. Is this your first time to 1 Million Cups?
Hello, it's my second time actually.
Okay. Well,
So
I may have missed the last time.
that's all right. Fairly new. My first time was before the holidays. I'm here in Fort Collins. I run my own business with a collection of websites. And I'm just trying to get more networked in the community.
Excellent. Glad you're here.
Thank you.
And would you like to introduce yourself?
sure, I'm Harry Akey. My first time here. I'm just getting a business just started. I got my license yesterday.
Congratulations.
Yesterday.
Awesome. Glad you're here. Welcome to the show. All right. Does anyone else need to practice that question? So what do you do? Marcus, you have a new, so what do you do? What is your new?
Fine. Hey everybody, I'm Marcus Wax. I actually start my onboarding for my new What Do I Do in 2 hours, and I will be doing project management for redevelopment and renovation of low-income and public housing. So the PM side of it, that's everything from zoning to make sure that the GC and architect don't try to take flat blade screwdrivers to each other. So
All here in Northern Colorado or?
mostly here in Northern Colorado. How the firm works is it's a network of independent contractors. They're based out of Arizona. So a lot of the grant compliance and stuff is taken care of by the home office. And they're the prime holder of the contract, but they try to have at least one sub per state. So I am the first and only Colorado guy.
All right, cool. All right.
Congratulations, that's cool.
Any community news before we jump into presentations? What's going on in Fort Collins and Northern Colorado on the New Year's? Not much, pretty quiet.
Well, I just wanted to remind everybody that Allison Prophet's event is coming up at the end of this month. A number of us are speaking at that. It's a whole week-long event, and so encourage everybody to take advantage of that. There's great content during that entire week.
And is that a paid thing, a free
Yeah,
thing?
they had a number of free tickets to give away, and the deadline. Oh, Leandra, it looks like she's got some free tickets. Okay, so, oh, okay, cool. Sign language, I like that.
All right, so that's where can people find out more about that? That's the Soulful Entrepreneur Summit. I guess
Right.
if you're interested, send a chat to Carl or Leandra during this meeting. Brian, is that you too? Okay, cool. All right, any other community news? Jana, what's going on in the broader world? You're
the
always
broader
playing.
world, I haven't paid the hell
You're
of
always
attention. My grades are turned in, I'm done. In the broader world, what I can tell you is if you are interested in anything the SBDC is doing right now, they have a 15% discount through, or a 20% discount on any in-person learning on their website through the 15th of this month. And that includes their full-on QuickBooks course, which is usually pretty pricey and good. So that's nice. On the second piece of that, yesterday I had my open forum interview to become the new director of the SBDC. And Friday I have the final interview for that, and we'll know on Monday if that will be a new job I will
For
suddenly have.
you.
For me,
Ooh,
Wow.
not in addition to Estes, only one job. I swear to God, I'm only doing one job from now on.
That doesn't sound right.
yeah, that's not the Jana we know.
I'm trying to turn over a new leaf, Carl. I'm trying.
Here only
You know,
has
that's what
one
my
job.
husband said.
Well, good luck, Jana. That's exciting.
Thank you.
Okay, well,
That's great
One-
news,
one note.
Jana. That's awesome for you.
It's currently down to 2 finalists. What I find fascinating is I am one of the finalists and Hope Hartman is the second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hope Hartman, she's been a member of 1 Million Cups for
Uh-huh.
quite some time.
Okay.
She runs Girls in the Spotlight.
That's interesting. I didn't know she had applied for that one. That's well. Let's see
So
what happens.
either way, it'll be fine.
Yeah, either way, we'll have one of you come back. We'll pass for you to come back to 1 Million Cups and present.
all right, Natalie, did you have any announcements?
Well, my usual announcement. First, Happy New Year, everybody, and glad to see everyone. Yeah, I just put a little note in the chat for those who are connected remote, but for those who are in the room, if you're new and if you want to present, please let us know. I do, all this, the scheduling. We still have some spots in January and obviously later down the road. So it's an opportunity for anyone, especially if you have your own company, you're just new to Fort Collins. As you will see, it's a great way to get better connected to the community. If you know anyone in your networks, in your ecosystem, wherever it is who wants to present, most of our presenters, we get them that way by word of mouth, and it comes around. So please do so, and we'll be happy to help anyone get onboarded on the schedule.
Perfect. All right, thanks, Natalie. Well, with that, let's jump into presentations. We've got 2 this morning. So Madison calling in from Denver. She's going to present remotely first, and then I'll present kind of an update of 1 Million Cups and what 2022 is looking like for us. And so Madison will go first, and then we'll take a quick break. Plenty of time for questions and answers. But Madison is living down in Denver, and she grew up, her family actually had emus. When she put that in the chat, I wasn't sure what emus was, but then I remembered emus, big birds, not the ostriches. And she's trying to recreate her childhood in some sense, but she's starting small with chickens. So she's got some chickens down in Denver. So Madison, take it away. We'll give you 6 minutes, and I'll give you a hands up whenever you're at your 6-minute mark.
Great, awesome. Let me just see if you can see this. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Good morning, everyone. My name is Madison. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm here today to talk to you about Prairie Rose Development Corp. And Kiva, Colorado. Before I really jump in, I want to just say, kind of prefacing the question for today is, how can we connect with entrepreneurs in the Northern Colorado region? And is our message clear? Does it generate trust of our program and our company? So jumping in, Prairie Rose Development Corp was founded in 2020 by Mike O'Donnell, and he's here on the call today, with the mission to stimulate the creation, prosperity, and economic welfare of diverse small businesses, creating sustainable living wage jobs within their communities. And we are operating that mission through processing and sort of being in charge of Kiva loans in the state of Colorado. So any zip code. Kiva is a separate nonprofit entity that was founded in 2005. Our team is small and mighty. Myself and Danny are the ones primarily working with entrepreneurs on the loan application process, so those Kiva loans. Mike, founder and executive director, and then we have Ali and Alina as our technical support, and then our board of directors listed there. So we understand that dreams for so many things are universal. Dreams for small businesses, dreams for big businesses, for families to be able to be in charge of their success and be in charge of their income. And we also know that opportunity is not universal in that same way. So we understand that if maybe somebody comes from a marginalized community, or maybe they're an immigrant, maybe they were formerly incarcerated, they're not going to have the same ability to access capital to either start a business or to grow a business in the same way somebody else who maybe is college educated and in maybe a higher income bracket can. So we are trying to break this trend and make sure that all entrepreneurs in Colorado have access to capital. Problem is there's not a base step. You either have to go from 0 to 100 or nothing, right? So we're missing the micro. Traditional lenders prefer to make large loans, and they require established credit, collateral, and audited business financials, which many of those aforementioned groups might not have, especially if they're a startup. It's really expensive for lenders to offer smaller loans and smaller amounts, especially when those borrowers can't necessarily show their credit worthiness through those things. There are definitely alternative options in terms of online lenders or pawn shops, payday lenders. However, we ask that people have caution with those because of the high APR rates that can range from 25% to 700%. So our solution is providing the missing micro in Colorado. In order for small businesses to grow their borrowing potential, we are able to offer 0% interest loans from $1,000 to $15,000 with loan terms to 12 months to 36 months. The difference is we don't require high credit scores. We don't require collateral or audited business financials. What we're really looking for is what we call community collateral. We want to see that that entrepreneur is going to establish new jobs in their area, and that they are trusted by friends and family, and maybe even existing clients with their business, with their idea. The process is fairly easy. A borrower would submit an application and work with me to make sure that's all fine-tuned. It would go externally to a Kiva review for 1 to 3 weeks, and then they would be approved for a loan amount and a repayment package that they would move forward on. So then we start into this private fundraising stage, which is really that community collateral piece where borrowers are asking their friends, their family, maybe on social media, hey, would you lend me $25 so I can buy this new machine that I need to really up my game in this, that I need to fix a truck repair because I'm a maintenance person and I can't get anywhere to any of my existing clientele. Any business use is fine for these loans. They'll enter that private stage asking their network for support. Once they achieve that 5 to 40 people, it jumps into the public stage where they're able to receive funding from across the globe. Kiva has a network of over 2 million lenders that people can tap into and say, yes, I want to support an African-American female cook bringing Caribbean food to Greeley, what say you? Then after that, the repayment starts with that 0% interest. People can set up automatic payments. It's really simple. We work best when entrepreneurs are connected to local governments, local nonprofits, local lenders even. So, we are doing our best to work with government agencies to say, or even banks to say, would you match any loan that comes through Colorado, that comes with the Colorado zip code? Would you match any loan to make sure that they get to that full loan amount as fast as possible? There are local philanthropists who can then connect with businesses further down the line to offer some more of that angel funding. It's a good way to make those connections. And then also just to create a network of support within Northern Colorado. So these things are all coming together to create more of a a system, a community support network for those entrepreneurs. And we also do a lot of connecting. So connecting to the SBDC, maybe people aren't aware of where those free classes are at. If they're at a startup phase, Danny and I can make those warm handoffs for entrepreneurs. You have a local success in your own community. Some of you may know Liz. She is the founder of Open Space Mediation and just successfully fundraised on through PRDC. She was super fast. She had 2 days in private, and then she was able to get fully funded in 8 days, which is a little bit unheard of. And she had a total of 264 lenders. Some of those you can see on that right-hand side, including another Fort Collins business. So we're really excited about that. So we want to see more people like Liz coming from Northern Colorado. We know there's a strong entrepreneurial presence, and we want to make sure that they are aware of this program and this opportunity to jump up and be able to show larger lenders like, hey, I successfully repaid this Kiva loan, and I'm ready for something bigger to continue to grow my business. So we have a few more resources here in terms, once you get the slide deck, you can go read more about it. But I just want to open it up for questions now. I have no idea how many minutes that was, so.
7, that was perfect. That's just fine. All right, so we've got some asks here. Go ahead and leave those up. Anyone in the room have some questions or some feedback for Madison? Or online, not just in the room.
Yeah, and I can only see, let me try to move this box so I can see.
Use the reactions online to raise your hand. That way you go to the top of the list. Leandra.
Yeah, the one question that I had is that you said something about loans, like microloans for entrepreneurs who are going to create jobs. Is it important that they're going to be hiring someone? Because it seems like if you're doing a microloan, you're probably just getting yourself started.
Absolutely. So we have a process where we would maybe endorse someone. So if they will be creating jobs through the loan use. So, we do have some people who are just hiring one person and they're using their funds to pay those salaries. That's sufficient for us. We trust that they're going to continue to grow. So if they're growing more than just themselves, we have an endorsement category that we'd say, we really want this loan to succeed, and that will hopefully be reflected in the amount they're granted in the approval.
Thank you.
Janet.
Hey, did I hear Mike is on the call?
He's in here, I think.
Yeah. Hi, Mike. Absolutely certain you couldn't have actually retired for real. So totally
Thank you
not
very
surprised
much.
you started another nonprofit. So this is cool. Couple questions and a couple thoughts. One, you need to shorten up your beginning in terms of the opportunity piece, because we got it very quickly and you need more time to explain some of the other things.
Okay.
Second thought on that is don't ever tell me what percentage of my donations have to be privately done versus publicly done. So is there a cap limit of friends and family money you have to reach before you're allowed to access?
No percentage piece. We actually prefer that most of that capital is coming from people in the larger community in that public stage, but there's no percentage. It's more numeric. And it's dependent on the entrepreneur. So if it's a startup, they're probably going to be shoulder tapping about 10 people versus 40, right? They don't have maybe as many connections. And so once they reach that number 10, they just jump right into public.
Great. And then the last comment was around trust. And you asked if we do trust you. And I think the presentation itself lends it to the Kiva name certainly does. Like I've had $25 floating on Kiva for 6 years. And it keeps getting paid back and you keep sending it out. And that's just the way that goes. So I think that that's useful. The piece that's interesting to me is that you never really explain deeply enough what your relationship is with Kiva. So I don't know if you are as trustworthy as Kiva is.
Great.
So that, I hope that's helpful in terms of your own questions.
It is. Thank you so much, Janet.
Carl.
Yeah, hey, thanks, Madison. I had a similar response to what Janet just said about so what exactly is the relationship with Kiva? I think I understand what Kiva does, but I don't know why or how it works between you and them. So, having just a little bit of clarity there could help. The other thing that occurred to me is I think the major value that you provide to your clients is actually a lot more consulting than just handing them a pile of money. And that message didn't come through loud and clear. And I would want to say, you're going to teach me how to raise my own money and to do it now. And that'll be a useful skill later. And how to engage with potential donors or investors or whoever. You're going to teach me how to do that. I think that's actually the primary value. So I'd like to see that come out as a bit of a stronger message.
Taking furious notes over here.
I like that, Carl. There's a lot to learn in the fundraising space for sure. So
For
Steve,
sure.
Brian.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that so I work with a lot of startups. A lot of them end up not hiring me because they don't have capital. I don't know if I can send them to you because I don't know how much money they can raise on your platform or your process. So if somebody's coming to me and having an issue, they don't necessarily need 10 grand. They might need 50 or 100 so that they can have that startup because it's one person and they need enough gas on the fire to get to the place where they can hire. Right? So I don't know if that's a good fit for you from this presentation. So I would potentially be wanting you to talk about how much people can get, what your limits are. And you have that piece on, we want them to be looking for employment, but a lot of people, especially in the service industry, aren't going to get to that employment place without $20,000 of advertising over 2 years. Right. So I don't know who I can send your way necessarily.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it is a good feedback and something we are trying to develop as well, to have some of those larger loan amounts. We, at this point, we just say, like, if this 15 grand can supplement, so you have 0% interest on that small segment of that larger amount that you need, we're here for that as well. But that is good to kind of take note of. Thank you, Brian.
Madison, I had a couple questions just about the structure of the program. Do you have to have exhausted other sources of fundraising before people can come to you, or it can be at any point?
Any point. And we like repeat borrowers. So some of those smaller enterprises do come back regularly, or like once they've completed one, they'll ask for another one if they want to do a marketing campaign or something.
Okay, I think that would be important to include in the presentation because sometimes you'll learn about startup loans and they say you're eligible after you exhausted your other options. And then the other question is the private fundraising. That sounds like that's the first piece when we work with you, that we actually go to our friends and family and ask them, how do you facilitate that? Why don't I just do that on my own first?
Yeah, I think the piece that's nice is there's a lot of templates that we're able to send to them to say, just edit this to make it per your business. Here's how to make that ask. You're not asking for a donation. Let's specify that it's a loan, make sure that that's really clear. And then the reason it's going through us is so that it reflects in their private numbers, because it's going through a PayPal system. If like they're welcome to do that, like that would be a friends and family ask is kind of a different stage in terms of a bigger ask, because this is a loan, not a donation. And so they would do it through us to be able to access those 2 million lenders on the public side is really the benefit. So that process of asking, if a business owner is not able to pitch their business and ask for support, then maybe they're not to the stage yet and they need to go through a few more sessions to be able to pitch to, is another kind of litmus test we're doing.
Awesome. Thanks, Madison. And then to reiterate her ask, that first one, who do they need to connect with in Northern Colorado to get the word out about their program? Any suggestions for Madison?
I think there's a lot of opportunity to get the word out. I would love to see this reworked just a little bit, Madison, in terms of you shortening up that front piece. Like, I get what you want to be doing here. What I'm more interested in is, can you give me a profile of an ideal candidate? Can you give me more than just one example of who has used loans and for what? So that I can start to use those examples and apply them to the organizations that I know and be able to work back and forth. And the piece that I think, you know, outside of the normal channels of the cities and the economic development folks and those kinds of things, one of the most powerful pieces I think that will matter for you right now is working with the chambers. Because the chambers are working really, really hard to bring in brand new businesses right now. And that probably has the largest reach in Northern Colorado. May not be our favorite reach all the time, but it is probably the largest.
Awesome. Thanks. Okay. And then a question for you, Madison. Is there anything else that we can do to help you?
I don't know if 1 Million Cups for Collins has a regular like newsletter that goes out or anything to just let entrepreneurs know. I know this space isn't a place that can be all the time and introduce myself and say, hey, do you meet these criteria? Is this something you're looking for? But kind of like, I think it was Jana, I'm not 100% sure with this video, but keeping in the back of your mind when you are meeting with entrepreneurs, would this be a good fit? If any inkling of a yes, send them my way and we can talk further to see if they'd be a good match for this. And I'm happy to send out more of those resources too, so you know what an ideal candidate looks like.
Okay, cool. Madison, thanks very much. Thanks for coming.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for presenting. And, yeah, we'll take a quick break, grab some more 1 Million Cup special coffee, and we'll get back in a few minutes.
I will.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Why did you turn green that you're still selling?
Well, I had all of the great fighting that ended up happening.
Oh, yes.
And I finished that all up yesterday.
I got the most fantastic email from a student who got a D. Got a D. Okay, they didn't do it.
Oh, just.
So how did they even get a D?
Well, because they did just enough to be on it.
Building furniture, like, it wouldn't
So keep in
be,
mind, remember, I teach them how to write emails that are
you
on
can
these
fully
books.
tool like wood shop. Pretty nice for what you get. Let's put it this
Okay,
way, if you took the time
I
and
just
knew what
love
you were
just
looking
like-
for, and you
So
could
you could
actually,
just go ahead and get that done. That'd be
you know,
great.
hunt around on Craigslist or whatever, you could get every, you could get everything you need, and that place would be fully fitted out, I mean, you could do the basics, right? I mean, it wouldn't necessarily be the most efficient.
I have
and
said
everything
This
wouldn't
is
be
why I
the
like
most
we will
new,
not teach
but
you.
like, if you
Thank
wanted
you
to
in
build
advance. I'm like. if I could
tables,
tell you all
chairs,
the
whatever
things
else,
I
like
talked about
15K
in
would
class
get you in the
that you
game
would
as far as.
message me.
And what that means is
This
that.
one makes sense.
phrase, tooling.
I can't
Oh.
even.
Yeah.
I can't even.
No, so you're not gonna teach anyone. You're done.
I don't think so. I
I'm a
like
13-year-old boy.
teaching.
What can I
I
say?
really do. I think they're not like
There,
that.
yeah.
So that's, I will
So what's
stick
your
with
thing?
corporate training.
Hey,
that
I'd
sort
love
of
to
thing.
do. For
Or
me,
coming in and doing
mobile
seminars.
applications.
or
I mean, the only
workshops.
thing you probably can't get would be like, it's like you gotta
I like- I
smoke
just-
and deal with be a lady.
Right, yeah.
No, I hate it.
My dad had a lathe. He used to make bowls and different stuff, you know?
Well,
Made some cool shit.
People you're
That's kind of my conundrum.
There you go. that's what
And
I
then
was
the
thinking.
rubric.
In the middle. So.
Oh, my.
Bowls.
I have a tech background in leading. technology.
Welcome to Colorado.
So I've done all the design, database setup.
Have to-
Everything you need to start the program, but I haven't coded in about 10 years. So it's like
It'd be great for
digging back in to
turnaround.
figure out how to write the
Does that
code.
actually happen in
Go.
your place?
Tell.
No place
Um,
I've ever known.
But you know, that's where I am. I need to hire. a programmer.
Right? And nobody is like.
I don't think it's like more coding.
trying to get it. What you can do better in the
yeah.
future in order to-
That's why.
Yeah, that's-
And when I
Yeah,
brought
I think,
this up
you know,
to
we gotta get a little bit down the road.
Owe it to them.
my,
Yeah.
my,
The thing is, I think
associate director.
the idea is
I brought this up to him, I'm
incredibly
like,
easy. to
we're
build
training
when
them and
somebody,
they're not
you know,
going to be ready to go into
somebody
work.
put it out
They're
there,
just
somebody
not.
else
You're
says, "Hey,
providing them a
whatever."
professional degree.
But I
which
think
is a
it's,
professional degree
you know.
with capstone
like I said,
project for both
I think
days.
it's- I've got
And
at
you've
least
essentially
4
trained
revenue
them
streams that-
to follow a set of
Yeah,
steps
they say,
precisely.
how it was
And that
to
is
the
not how I have
fire.
ever seen the real world.
It was actually a good training
No,
tool
and
for
assignment
me.
instructions.
Oh, I bet, yeah.
Very cool.
They
I'm
want-
excited to go.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Because I was just sitting there thinking, it's like, you know,
And you're like,
my
"Maybe
system would have had a hard
I wouldn't
time
come
sending
up
that.
with it.
Yeah,
I
Just
wanna
'cause of
see
the-
something
the
about
wind.
like this.
yeah, well, I mean, the firefighter,
120.
nobody could do anything, you
Yeah,
know?
when you get wind, you're screwed.
Yeah.
And the only way you can have fought it is get big Drago cannons
I got grading,
Yeah, that big thing I showed
engagement,
you.
great, everything with grading.
and go upwind.
out the bottom.
and
Yeah.
do it
Not
back.
clear enough
Well,
about
that's
this.
an
not
interesting
clear enough
idea,
about
though.
that.
Good.
And I'm like,
Yeah, boy, and I guess now they're looking at that church as the
No, it's
potential
horrible.
cause,
so
Oh, I thought it was that little
I've
shed that
gotten
kid
permission
was,
from my-
which is on a church property.
Oh, it
It's
is?
a religious commune of
Yeah, I
some
was
sort or
like-
something, yeah.
I saw the,
learning it
and I did not see
essentially
one
pass
person
fail
out.
on
I'm like,
every
what the?
So the class.
know, my
has
next
10
question
assignments
is,
in it.
Instead of
If you
filming
get
it,
an
did you
80%
call
mark,
911?
Right, right, exactly.
I mean, that was my first,
Don't,
I'm
you have
like,
to keep
you know, and then when the
doing it.
ambulance drove by, I'm like,
Each assignment is.
All right,
They will.
we'll reconvene. Do we have
Ever
everyone back
one.
online and back in the room? Got your copy? All right, cool. Well, welcome back. Again, Happy New Year. I wanted to take some time to kind of reintroduce 1 Million Cups and some of the changes that have happened with 1 Million Cups NOCO over the past couple of months, with Jana taking multiple jobs and stepping away from this
one,
and
one,
pursuing, taking one job and pursuing more for some reason.
one time.
very long story, but yeah.
It's called the 1X factor.
But anyway, there's something about the New Year's that I love. I don't do New Year's resolutions, but I still love the whole new year and the restart and opportunities to grow. And I can't help but think about planning for the future, even though that's a very maybe foolish thing to try to do right now. But anyway, I'm excited about 2022, even though I have no idea what it will look like. And it's also an opportunity for us to step out of our comfort zone a little bit, try something new, and which is what I'm doing with this. I never thought Dain Johnson, community organizer, would be something on my resume, but here we are. We'll see how, luckily there's no one I really report to, so my performance.
It's all about the experience.
That's right. And many of you have been involved in 1 Million Cups for a few years. I've been in and out for the past 5. And more recently, since I've gotten to focus on my own startups and not travel anymore for work. But anyway, for those of you who aren't familiar with 1 Million Cups Beyond Fort Collins, it is a nationwide group. It's organized by the Kauffman Foundation, which does a lot of work for entrepreneurs. They're based out of Kansas City, and they work with communities for entrepreneurship and education to increase opportunities that allow all people to learn and to take risks and to own their own success. And I really like that mantra of, you're going to take some risks and we're here to help you along the way, but it's really yours. And so that's what we're doing here with 1 Million Cups. And 1 Million Cups was an interesting outgrowth of the Kauffman Foundation. It's a big organization, nonprofit, but there were some people in Kansas City who said, hey, we'd like to know what's going on with our local entrepreneurs. So they started inviting them every Wednesday morning just to give a presentation, which is exactly what we do. What are you doing? What are your ideas? Where do you need help? And it went from a grassroots effort to this nationwide thing where we have all these independent communities like ours that self-organize around the idea and the pillars of 1 Million Cups to provide this, to achieve the same mission locally. So I've got my notes over here on my phone, so excuse me, and they only work sometimes. So the mission of 1 Million Cups is to lower barrier to access to education resources and connection for all types of new and aspiring entrepreneurs throughout the United States. And it is that nationwide thing where we're involved here, but there's more. And if you've gotten the chance to zoom into other 1 million cups, this past year has been an awesome opportunity to do that. You didn't have to travel anywhere. You could just call into which one did I do? I think Tampa, Florida. And it's just really, it's the same format, but a totally different vibe. And it's really cool to see the different communities and the way they've organized and what they have going on. And we are doing this. We're lowering that barrier to access. So when you have that idea, when you're just into app development and you can come here and present your idea and get some really good feedback, it kind of helps redirect you or help you focus. It's easy as entrepreneurs to just retreat to our closets in our basements and work on whatever we're working on and not engage with people. And 1 million cups is about that community. The 3 pillars for 1 million cups, how we organize, it's presentations, not pitches. Of course, we invite pitch practices, but you're not here to sell to the community. You might have customers, future customers in the room, who knows, but there aren't investors, there aren't customers. You're here to practice and get the feedback that you don't get anywhere else. Unfortunately, when you do pitch to investors, sometimes you don't get the feedback you need about how to hone your message. It's more, it can be less helpful sometimes. Second is connection, not networking. You're not here to find your next job necessarily, but to find that community connection, which has been really, for me, the main reason I kept coming back was I wanted to feel like I belonged in Fort Collins, right? And that there were since I didn't have the corporate connection anymore, that membership motivation, it's like, what's the local community? And it's so cool to be a part of people with ideas, trying new things and learning new things together. The third pillar is it's for the community, by the community. So we'll exist as long as the community wants it to exist, right? And we'll talk a little bit about that later, about how we're organizing and who's running what. But while the brand 1 Million Cups is owned by the Kauffman Foundation, and in order to use their brand, we agreed to follow their protocols, their handbook. Who better than us to know what the community needs? So that's where we get to put our own spin on 1 Million Cups and organize this thing and bring in the people we can help. So that's why this is all volunteer based. If there isn't a community that sees a need for this, then it won't exist. So I'm really grateful for everyone who stepped forward to say, yeah, I want to be a part of this. I want to see this keep going. It is that national and local mission, like I said already. So working towards that mission, having a consistent approach. Any 1 Million Cups you call into is on Wednesday morning at 9 o'clock. And the other core elements of it, 2 presenters, 6-minute presentations, 20 minutes of Q&A. Focusing on businesses less than 5 years old. And this is what Natalie does, kind of filtering our presenters, is, are you at the right stage for this community? And the reason it's at that 5 years mark is there's just a lot of learning that happens there. And once you've gotten past that, you're kind of to another level, even if your business hasn't grown tremendously. And so we try to encourage younger entrepreneurs in here, younger companies. And then we finish the Q&A with the question, what can we as a community do to support you? You know, we are here to support the presenters. And then, of course, it's always free, open to the public with free coffee. So our organizing team for this year, I've taken on lead organizer responsibilities, and Natalie is the recruiter and managing our presenter pipeline. Leandra Foster, Brian Hanning, Chris Radliff, and Marcus have all agreed to help organize day of and with a few things on the side. So thank you all very much for that. Marcus is learning how to use the control back there. Luckily, his computer's staying alive.
I'm zooming to success, man.
Yes. And then we're connected back to the Kauffman Foundation and broader 1 Million Cups through Zachary Draper, who's our West Regional rep out of Salt Lake City. And so he'll organize different things. Anytime we have questions, we reach out there, but we're pretty much independent. We pretty much run things on our own, which is kind of fun. All right, some of the roles. So if you're interested in helping at any point, these are the defined organizer roles from the Kauffman Foundation from 1 Million Cups. Lead organizer, recruiter, MC, website and social, just to keep everything up to date and the community informed. And then a marketer to do some content creation, coach to educate and prepare presenters, and then community partnership, being that person who can be the connection back to the broader Northern Colorado community, because we don't want to just exist in our own little silo. We need to be more broadly connected to the SBDC, to the Chamber of Commerce, to all these other entities helping entrepreneurs. CSU has a massive program. So the more we can be plugged in as a community to the broader community, the more help we'll be able to offer. Now, we don't have defined people in all these roles. And one thing I cannot do is hold all these roles. So since this is for the community, by the community, we're only going to go so far as volunteers are willing to take it. We're not going to take on more just because we feel like we should, if no one's willing to step in and do that. So marketer, we don't have anyone defined for all that. Chris has offered to help with some content creation, but doing broader marketing campaigns, we're just not going to do that unless someone is willing to step in and help lead that. And so what I'm asking with organizers is kind of a 3 to 6 month commitment, just knowing that there's some stability. The roles are well defined enough that we can hand things off. And so if you're here for a time and then you get another job like Marcus, and then you got a shift, it's no big deal. We can adjust as a community. So some ways to get involved: attend. This is the best way to be a part of the community. Be here, present your crazy ideas, present your challenges, present an educational piece. We're all kind of learning something new. And the tricky thing about starting businesses and being an entrepreneur is you don't need to know it all right at once. You kind of learn in small drips. So if you want to present about how to build a business plan, or if you've gone through investor rounds and you want to present what you've learned through that experience, it would be beneficial to everyone in the community. Step into an organizer role for a time. It doesn't have to be a 7-year commitment. It can be for a few months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's dedication.
Invite, it's dedication for sure. And then invite. We are how we connect to the broader community. Other entrepreneurs, other people starting up businesses. And when they have that idea, encouraging them or just letting them know that we exist, there's a place to practice this. There's a place to test your idea, to say it out loud for maybe the first time and get some feedback. And so what does 2022 hold? Who knows? But the focus that I'm going into this with is community and personal growth. Focusing on supporting the startups of Northern Colorado. This past year, we've got a lot of presenters from across the country come in and present to us, which has been really cool. But there's so much going on in Northern Colorado that we haven't necessarily explored or tapped into. And there's people starting up. I know someone starting a pilot training company. So there's all these little things happening that we can reach out to support. Feedback, giving and taking, that challenges and grows. I think the Northern Colorado 1 Million Cups has a great reputation already of the quality of feedback that we give to presenters and the positivity that we bring. Other 1 Million Cups have a little more harsh reputations. So I want us to be a community of feedback, one where we can give and take good critical feedback. And educating our community. So again, if you have something to teach us, please do. And 1 Million Cups organizer engagement, building a team of organizers. How can you stay informed? We've got our website we'll be maintaining. We have a lot of different ways to communicate with you all from Facebook and Twitter, but we're focusing here for now. So to keep up with what's going on, keep up with the website. We'll keep our banner up to date with hybrid links, and also sign up an account on that website, because that's how we can reach out to you and communicate any changes, last minute changes. If we have to cancel the last minute or go full remote, that's how we'll get in touch with you, is that email list. Also Meetup. Natalie has volunteered subscription for us for the next year. So we've got Meetup for the next year. So you can sign up that you're attending there and we can communicate you that way. And so if you have any questions, we can get into that discussion with the remaining time we have. But a couple questions for you. What do you need from this community in 2022? And also, what do you have to give? If there's any ways that you want to step in to help out. So that's where we are, and that's kind of where we're going. Yeah. All right, questions, comments, thoughts?
So impressive. You're not doing the things that there aren't people to have them do.
So
I want to attribute that more to something more than just laziness, but it is kind of. Carl?
Yeah, I just had a comment. You know, trying to describe 1 million cups to people has sometimes been a challenge because it does cover various things. But I actually think that that is useful and it can be a strength. But you know, it really is all about the people connections, the where is the knowledge, where is the help, what do people know, all of that kind of stuff. So it was interesting to see that you said this is not networking. It's like, oh, all right, so you have maybe a different definition of the word networking. I'm not sure, but that's okay. One of the things that when I first got hooked up many, many years ago, we had this discussion around giving a pitch versus giving an educational something. And over the years, I've done a number of educational things. I've done a few pitches here and there. But it would be nice to maybe have the educational pitch or educational content kind of thing, or, you know, I would like to lead a discussion on a particular topic to actually capture those things and say that they are an inherent part of what this chapter does, because the whole pitch thing can kind of overwhelm that sometimes.
Yeah, that's good. Thanks, Carl.
And the format's different, you know, it's not necessarily then a 6-minute presentation and 20-minute Q&A. You know, I've loved some of the just discussions that we've had. Well, like this one, right? This is an interesting discussion right now.
Yeah, and the education piece, I remember Mike Bennett presenting on Live Plan, you know, I don't know how many months ago. And over the break, I built 2 business plans using that. So like this educational stuff that we get in, it's fantastic. I never know when we're going to do it. So thank you. And yeah, Carl, if you want to lead an educational discussion, I know you've got a lot of great stuff. That would be fantastic. Natalie.
Yeah, no, I want to piggyback on what Carl is saying. So indeed, I mean, I think that's an important component of what we do. I mean, to be honest, there's 2 ways we've done it. One is, and sometimes I've reached out to Carl's or Cindy's or say, hey, we have a slot, you want to do an educational thing. But apart from that piece, it actually should be an interesting part of our plans regularly, because indeed, whether, you know, Mike Bennett did on Life Plan, others, you know, Carl or Cindy or even, you know, Jana, you know, several times. So just to the community here, it's a perfectly fine format. And in some cases, you know, if we want to say, hey, this session is going to be dedicated to a conversation, it is also feedback. It's also feedback to the community. So anyone can do that. So the door is open the same way that you saw today. We have nonprofits. If you read on the Kaufman thing, it doesn't say nonprofit. We have catered to nonprofits because we feel that they also have the same needs as an entrepreneur. They want feedback. They need to know how to, you know, market their messages, whatever it might be. You know, Madison has specific needs today. Others have come before. So same thing here. I think that's one of our strong points. And it gives us a bigger and wider diversity of presenters too. So just to, you know, so that people know, if you do have same thing, you know, nonprofits, why not in your area you want, that they can absolutely come and present. That is totally fine.
For sure. Marcus?
Well, I mean, frankly, just like a lot of other folks, I mean, the pandemic ate our lunch, right? Like I remember being back over at, someone help me out. What was the name of the
Articulate.
Articulate. There we go. And I remember at one time we filled a room. So I guess, for lack of a better way to put it, the challenge that I would offer to everyone here is bring one new face, right? Like a new face who's never attended. But even more importantly, you have to be connected with at least one person who, at least on a semi-regular basis, showed up when we were back at Articulate, but they're not here. They're not here digitally. They're not here in person. For me, just because it'll be easy to convince him to go and get breakfast with me afterwards, I'm going to go and harass Matt Erickson. Easy enough, right? But frankly, I think we've got a large enough core group here that we can maintain that kind of culture of positivity you talked about and really constructive help. But we need more bodies. We need to get back to, say, 60% of our Articulate bodies, and I think we'd be in better shape. So that's the challenge I'll issue to the group, is everyone knows at least one person you could probably bring new, and everyone knows at least one person who used to attend the Articulate, and just call and ask them, like, why aren't you coming to Elevations? They may very well just not even know that we're meeting hybrid anymore, right? So
Yeah, just making people aware. Think back to how you found 1 million cups and who brought you, or you know, I saw someone who was an organizer down in Lubbock, Texas. He would just post about it on Facebook. Hey, I'm going to this meetup thing. And I saw that for a few years before I Googled 1 million cups. I was like, oh, there's one here in Fort Collins. Jenny?
That's one of my thoughts about this, is like, I found it through Meetup, but then we were trying to, I don't know what, sign in on the 1 Million Cups app to see how many people are here. And I don't know, like, I think that part of it for getting people who don't know about us is showing that there is a group of people attending the events. So I don't know where we should be checking in, if we should do both of those things.
Meetup is the best. I was trying to do some planning on that over the break and exploring the different options. And I had downloaded the app, but then when I went to open it again, it was frozen. I had to uninstall it, reinstall it. So the app is a piece of junk. So that doesn't work.
The 1 Million Cups app.
Meetup.
Yeah, Meetup is not ideal.
It's usually pretty good, except for that one day last year when I had a huge presentation and the entire AWS network went down and Meetup didn't work for anyone. Am I still having my presentation?
So I think that if you remind us, or whoever's MC reminds us to, you know, check in and meet up when we're gonna be here, because that shows people who are looking for events that we are participating in this thing. Whenever it's just, it always looks like it's just Chris, Jenna, like the 3 people are doing this again. So I think that's an important thing.
Meetup is the one to use this year. I don't wanna say Twitter, Facebook. Like, if you want to post about it on Facebook and LinkedIn, great. That's fantastic, because that's your network. But as far as attendance, Meetup is the tool to use.
So
Can I
we
add a
finally get
couple of
everything
things?
worked out with
Yeah.
Meetup? Good.
I also, I heard about Harrow, help a reporter out here.
Yes.
Okay, so I've signed up. It's very annoying, but you get multiple emails a day. But I've actually gotten a few things published, and one of them recently, I responded to just a networking for small businesses thing, and I talked about 1 Million Cups and Lunch Club, which Leander told me about, and that's getting published. So those are just all resources, like help a reporter out. I respond to those. I get a few things published. I told them about 1 Million Cups, so that's really exciting. And that's sort of through Lunch Club is how I got, I forgot his name, but somebody from Denver who had just moved to Denver came up here a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Well,
if you'll share your article.
Yeah, it's
That'd be
getting
great.
published soon.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Well, that's a good segue to wrap us up in the next few minutes. Mike.
So I just had some good news that I wanted to share with the group that I saw the other day.
Well, that was the segue I was going to. What's the good news out there? So Mike, you go first.
Good. A gentleman whose organization helped us a lot with coffee for a couple years. I saw in the news this week that Mike O'Donnell is running for Colorado Secretary of State.
Oh, is he really? Even plus retirement.
All right.
I'm feeling challenged now.
Want to be appointed applying for that other job or
Yeah,
running for?
no, one job. I'm gonna try it for a year and see what happens.
Well,
Following in
awesome.
Mike's footsteps.
All right, well, who else has a win, has some good news for us?
I just wanted to thank everybody who's reaching out to the victims of last week's wildfire. That was such a incredible disaster, and we're very grateful that there wasn't more loss of life. But now, holy crap, there's 1,000 families that need to put their life back together, and this is right in our own backyard. So there's been a lot of organizations reaching out, and lots of resources out there, organizations or individuals, or because a lot of us have family and friends down in the Denver area and may have been affected directly. So I just wanted to say thank you for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Just a little news for the community in general. I spoke with Nick Armstrong the other day about Fort Collins Startup Week. And that has, by request of the city and how things have been going and whatever else, has been moved from the traditional last week in February to September.
Oh, wow.
So we will have a Fort Collins Startup Week in person, fingers crossed, in 2022, but it will be in September.
So the Denver Startup Week is generally in September. Are we going to clash?
I didn't get that deep into it, and it wasn't my problem to solve.
No, that's correct. You have enough jobs as it is.
I'm getting better at that statement. The thing that is interesting about this is that Nick and the team, and quite frankly, across the nation, a significant number of people are moving away from the Techstars Startup Week model. And so Fort Collins Startup Week is stepping away from the Techstars model. So we won't be using Sketch. We won't be doing some of those things. In September, the logo will be changing colors. Thank God, let's get rid of the orange. Some of the other things with that are definitely changing. Have you ever met a woman who looks really good in bright orange t-shirts?
There's this bunch in Knoxville.
Brian, last
Nice,
question,
nice
then we
there.
will dismiss.
Yeah, I just wanted to update on a couple of things that I had mentioned last year. One is most, if not all of us, will need to be keeping an eye out on the Corporate Transparency Act implementation. That is through federal financial crimes, where if you own 25% or more of a business registered with the Secretary of State, you will need to, that business will have to file for all of the owners. The other piece is the Copyright Claims Board is expected to start in spring. And that will be small claims for copyright cases. So that should make protecting your classes, books, booklets, etc., a little bit more accessible. And currently trademarks are running about 10 months from filing the application to registration ish. And if everything's going well. So those are a few of those updates.
Awesome. Thanks, Brian. All right. Well, Natalie says we still have one slot left for next week. So if you have a crazy idea you want to present to the group or something you want to teach us, let me know. Reach out to Natalie. Go on our website, apply that way. And we will see you all here next week. Have a good day and have fun shoveling snow tomorrow.
Bye, everybody.
Yeah.
Hi, thank you so much.